Jai Shri Somanarayan. My name is Ekta.
Jai Shri Swaminarayan. My name is Archita. And together today we will be sharing about Joy Kuo. Her real name is Zuling Kuo, and to us she was known as Irene Kuo and has many other names that she has been using recently. And the reason we are making this video and in our few coming other videos, we will be talking about Joy Kuo and what she did as a volunteer in Cosmic Fusion. And she sat with us in the Facilitator in Training program and how covertly she operated, bullying, manipulating, and taking advantage of other members in the group. So I would like to start how I met Joy Kuo at the event that I was very fortunate to take part in Melbourne in 2013. Shrima had given us this beautiful opportunity to volunteer at events, and I went for a couple of them in Australia. And my first impression of Joy was that she's very hardworking, very dedicated, and is putting in a lot of effort and trying to build a team, which she was projecting to me. And now, in hindsight, when I look back in the Melbourne event, there was a huge fight between Nat and Nathan. Joy was always very envious of Nat because Nat spoke very well. She bonded with a lot of people and she could really speak well. And she had a problem with Nat because Nat was very close to Shrima, and Joy couldn't tolerate that. She was only one who wanted to be close to Shrima. And she would pick on Nat, telling her not to speak so much to people and just be at the stand. And the same day, she even had a conversation with Nathan, telling him how to volunteer and what he should do at the stand. Nathan was not very happy about it, and he was very vocal. He even told me he did not like the way Joy spoke to him. That same evening, towards the end of the event, there was a big fight between Nat and Nathan because of what Joy had literally gaslighted both of them. And then they just ended up having a heated argument. Luckily, Shrima was present there, and Shrima had to intervene and put off the fire that was created by Irene. Do you recall something similar that happened in Newcastle event that took place after that?
Yes, this sly way of operating, I do recognize now in hindsight after reflecting on it. So like you, when I first met Joy, she seemed very keen, always putting her hands up for everything and very hardworking and also a little bit domineering. She would, like, looking back, I can see how she was picking on others, on the other volunteers, pointing out their flaws or their mistakes as she saw them. And I remember one time when Simran and I, we were hosting the Cosmic Tribe. It's like a gathering for everyone who has done the Awakening Transformation Workshop. So we can come together and tune in with the beautiful quantum Vortex Scalar Photon pulse that is so graciously and unconditionally shared by Shri Mashiji. And, we had been doing it for a little while. Then when Joy came onto the scene, she falsely accused me and Simran of mishandling the donations, and also, just said we're not running it properly, we're not organizing it properly. Basically, pushed us to the side and took over. And so some of that, but in a way that is quite sly, because she would say, she would always portray herself as somebody who's really doing everything for Cosmic Fusion, and she has high standards of volunteering, and because she loves Cosmic Fusion so much and she wants to do this all for Cosmic Fusion. So this is how she would portray it. But in fact, like now we know, like, she's been filling people's ears and gaslighting other people and a very covert way of operating. And like, I recently read something that covert narcissists are the worst kind, because you don't see them coming, and you actually only realize, what happened after they've left the path of destruction. And it's like a stealth bomb.
Yes, Ekta. Now, when I look back at the event, the Fourth Expo, where it was actually myself, Clarito, and Joy, Joy just kept portraying how in Sydney she and Clarito are doing all the hard work, and they've been organizing events and taking part in a lot of events for Cosmic Fusion, and there's nobody to help them. It's just she and Clarito who've been doing all the hard work. But what I saw was completely different. So I believe she was doing all the projections on me, on the Sydney volunteers, but it was she who was actually doing it. She would leave the stand for a long time, and she and Iphigenie would go shopping around, buying makeup, and she wanted to be the best. So her dressing sense had also slowly started changing. And I don't know if you remember that she had also bought this Camilla imitation, and she tried to wear the same outfits that Shrima used to wear during the expos.
Yes, I remember that. And she'd even posted a picture on her Facebook about this Camilla, well, the Camellia dress, I think, as she called it, and, basically showing off. But then after everything had come out and she'd been asked to leave Cosmic Fusion, she had quickly taken down that picture. And I even asked her, like, why did you remove, your picture from the Facebook post? She would not answer me.
Yes, and after that event, I realized that she was really taking a lot of advantage of Clarito, making him do all the menial tasks. And when he would try to say something or do something differently, she would literally pounce on him. And she just thought that he was her property for some reason. She would ask him to carry her luggage and do all these menial tasks at the events. And she also didn't want anybody to work with Clarito because she was really, really very jealous and possessive of him.
Yeah, I remember how this was back in 2013 at the Newcastle Expo, and that was organized by the volunteers only. And I remember, of course, our Joy was being quite domineering and bullying, and there she really sort of, I think she spotted Clarito there and zeroed in on him, and she played the victim towards him, like saying, "Oh, nobody wants to support me. Do you want to do the meditation with me and everything?" And I think that's where she first put her hooks basically into Clarito. And I can now see in hindsight how she's been keeping him away from all the other volunteers, that whenever others would meant to, wanted to work with him or do a little project or something together with him, she would somehow manipulate the scene, or through lying and whatever she would do to keep him away from the other volunteers. And I also remember, like, she was going on about her and her Clarito being a twin flame, or how she wanted that to be. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that. She basically wanted everything that Shrima had, right from the way Shrima dressed to makeup. And as Shrima and Shriji are known to be the twin ray couple, she was really pushing that Hanuman and, Clarito back then, and she are the twin flames. But that angle did not work out, so she just tried something different.
Yeah, so she basically, wanted she obsessed over him and exploited him, like, mentally, emotionally, financially. I remember Hanuman telling me of what happened when they set up Cosmic Fusion Australia. Because Joy, of course, wanted to set up Cosmic Fusion Australia. She saw Cosmic Fusion as a business venture. She didn't understand it was a beautiful philanthropic mission to share the quantum vortex scalar photon pulse with as many souls as possible. To her, it was just a business venture. She wanted fame, she wanted fortune. But of course, she would not say that. She would make it all pretend like she's, really volunteering, and it's all for the good of Cosmic Fusion. But in the back of her head, she would have this big plan and big vision of her eventually taking over Cosmic Fusion. So they set up Cosmic Fusion Australia, and then Joy, decided they needed to have a credit card so they can pay for all the expos and the events. So her and Clarito at that time, they went to the bank, and right when they were standing in front of the bank clerk, she would pull upon me. Like playing the victim is her number one game. So she would pull upon me on Clarito. She was saying, my husband, he doesn't really like it when I put my name here, and I can't really do it, and basically putting Clarito on the spot so that he had no choice but to put his name on the credit card. And they, at her unbridled ambition, they joined they were present at a lot of expos and events and racked up a lot of debt that way, and it all came onto his shoulders because she was very clever to make sure that his name was on the credit card. And I think this is such a sly way of operating that's very typical of covert narcissists. And also recognize what you're saying, how she would be, make it portray like how her and Hanuman, her and Clarito would be doing everything, and the other Sydney FiTs were not doing much or not contributing much, and it was all her and Hanuman, and she would really play the martyr, like she's giving up her sleep and her time with not spending time with her husband and her son, for Cosmic Fusion. But then recently I saw the WhatsApp group chat amongst the Sydney FiT that they had to coordinate things with each other. And I was shocked because it showed a completely different picture. It really shows her, manipulating the whole scene, being the bully, domineering others, playing the martyr, and the others are constantly contributing their time, their money, a lot. So she was lying to all of us that were not living in Sydney, how, it was just her and Hanuman. She's really like a master of impression management there.
Yes, Ekta, I agree. And even she always had this ambition to be a famous healer. And when she got this platform to volunteer, she took it fully on her, and nobody had asked her to volunteer. She did it on her own. And when she had the opportunity to leave her previous library job, she did, and she got a whole lot of money as an early retirement. And this was her choice because she knew that she can fulfill her ambition and her yearning to be a famous healer. And I also remember now that there was this video where everybody sharing their testimonials after doing the Awakening Transformation Workshop in 2012. And everybody sharing how beautiful and gracious and their experience has been with the quantum vortex scalar wave photon pulse, and how there's no fluff involved. But she has been only talking about, wow, she's an instant healer. And that's it. You can see something in her eyes, that greed. It's very, very visible in that testimony.
Yeah, I remember I recently saw that video again, and it's actually quite striking how her testimonial is the odd one out amongst everyone's testimonial. Like you said, everyone is sharing, how humbled they are and how grateful and how much their life has changed, and the quantum work skill away photon pulse, how Shimashiti are sharing it so freely, and how, effortless it is to tune in with it, and everything, really honestly sharing from their heart, their testimonial. And then Joy is just concluding, oh no, she's an instant healer. I guess that was a big red flag. At the time, I did not see it, but it's true in hindsight. We can actually clearly see that her true motive and her true, agenda was actually different than what she portrayed all those years.
Yes, we have a lot to share. So in the coming videos, we will be talking and exposing this fraud called Joy Kuo and how she has operated as a covert narcissist. And thank you for watching. Thank you, Ekta. Jai Shri Swaminarayan.
Thank you, Archita. And yes, thank you for watching. And we're sharing this because we feel silence is not okay. And, after narcissists, when they move on, they just move on and try and find a new source of supply. And we've actually seen her, start up a YouTube channel and a Facebook group, pretending like she's some spiritual healer and advisor, and basically really trying to exploit more people. So that's why we're sharing this video with our experience. Thank you again. Jai Shri Somanarayan.